What's up, everybody? This is Karak with ACG, and welcome to another cool little details video where I talk about a game and I talk about various little details in its world building that I enjoyed. Now, I recently did a video like this for Assassin's Creed Origins, and I really enjoyed doing so, and I saw some things in the Frozen Wilds for Horizon that I really thought was interesting. Some of these do overlap with the normal game, but I just wanted to cover some of these, even though I've done a walk in the past for this game. Also, this video was recorded with the same publisher supplied review code, and as always, I ended up getting a code, and I will be giving that away to patrons. And so here we go, a couple cool little details about Horizon Zero Dawn and its expansion, Frozen Wilds. Of course, in the new expansion, one of the first things you're going to notice is the dynamic layer that's built into the snow now. You can see this character on the right, but also as the character of Aloy ends up walking on the different various bits of terrain, you can actually see the entire physical changes to the way she does so, the swing into the arms and so forth. And we'll see it here as she crosses this little bump and then ends up changing her entire stance the way she walks through it. This is something you're going to see throughout this video, these new interactions with the snow and how they really detail the physics and how they dynamically interact with the way the main character moves compared to even the original game, which was certainly no slouch. And it's not like no game does this, but I love the way that it changes here, and you can see that push off and that weight and inertia. Next up. Now, I absolutely love this bit. It really does remind me of The Last of Us, the digital version, because basically what you have is you have these creatures here spewing out spore that makes more aggressive, that heals these creatures and causes them to attack more, causes them to be able to see even farther. And you can actually, as you play the game, find creatures that have sort of died along the road and are filled with this new currency called blue gleam, or this new energy called blue gleam. We'll see that here from this creature. You can actually see that sprouting up from the insides. It's sort of a digital version, like I said, of The Last of Us, and I love the callback there. Whether they planned it or not, it still feels somewhat connected, and I absolutely dig that. And of course, I have to add the fact that though we saw this in the original game, in Frozen Wilds, they have really turned up the ability to see the wind and the snow particulate interact with the ground itself. And we get this very cool bit where you can actually see the snow whistling through the different grass. Really well done, and an excellent dynamic weather system. Of course, as I talked about in the walk, the weather system does actually take into account the physicality of the different terrain below it. Just insane work here. And this is a small graphical effect, but I absolutely have to bring it up. When it comes to the deformable snow, the fact that the snow piles up alongside any place where grass is too thick for it to sort of wick through, fantastic work, and it does just another thing to sort of add to that level of detail that's going on here in the expansion. Now, while this did appear sometimes in the original as well, I love the fact that, especially in Frozen Wilds, you get these moments where you walk upon some area that looks destroyed and then later may end up finding a body. This is a location where it looks like somebody's left all of their frozen pond fishing equipment out. You can see bits of the top of that sled just sitting here, and you're sort of wondering, why is it that everything's just left out in the open? And then, of course, if you travel a little bit farther, you can find a body that might be connected to actually what's going on here. Here is the body. What I love is the fact that you never quite know, and it really does add that feeling of past and future past, a feeling that a world is actually existing around you without you. It's very important to making an open world game feel real. And of course, this is just another tiny element, tiny graphical detail, but the fact that the wind chimes move faster when I sprint by them is so cool. Like, I'm standing there, they're moving at a normal speed, and then when I sprint by in a circle, they end up picking up. Now, this is a spot near the starting of the game where it's a little village that dyes different clothing. You can see this guy actually pouring dye into the little lake there, and it's spreading out around him. This is one of those small things that does just add a layer of detail in an open world game, and it makes it feel like they're impacting the world. It's something I'm going to cover in the Origins walk as well. This is just very cool. This is one of the first places you find in the game, which is an area where they dye different clothes, and this guy here just goes about his business and occasionally pours the different dyes into this water. Now here I love the little connections between the rings on this person's neck piece. You can actually see that each is its own individual leather circlet as well as a connector there, and you can see how they slide into the actual metal pieces. Very cool, and once you notice it, you can never sort of not see it again. Plus, this guy needs to Manscape. Now here you'll see the interactive layer of ice and snow on top of the water, and one of the things you'll notice is if you walk around and you sort of make a design here and then you stand and watch it, you will actually see that refreeze over. Very cool little effect there. Now you guys know I can't ignore audio. Let's listen for a second. course, that is just very good audio work right there. That's multiple different layers mixing in, left and right boot actually making different sounds depending on what they hit. And I love the fact that when you're dragging your feet through the snow, you can actually hear not only the discrete footsteps, but you can actually hear the snow sloshing between footsteps as you go slower versus faster. Additionally, if you look there closely, you can see that the snow ends up tracking you differently depending on how fast you're walking, with a sort of a slide step deformation in the snow or discrete footsteps. Very cool stuff. There's a lot of things within Horizon, the original game, that were really interesting and really did a good job solidifying that feeling of an open world game. But I feel that Frozen Wilds adds on top of that and really takes it to the next level, especially because of their focus on just one place and one environment, and taking that dynamic layering of the snow and the weather and really pushing it up to 11. Those are the kinds of things that I like to see in all games, let alone just open world. So that's it for me. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't give it a thumbs down, maybe in the comments talk about things that you've seen in Horizon or any other open world game that actually really interests you. These are always fun to do, and I will of course be doing these in non-open world games as well. I have one actually planned here very soon. So that's it for me. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.